guys, today we're going to be talking about the second Pat McGrath quad, and I'm like digging around my vanity already because I can't remember the names of her palettes. They're getting longer and longer. So this is one of the Blitz Astral Quads, and we're going to be talking about the Nocturnal Nirvana quad. So yesterday or the day before, we talked about the Iconic Illumination quad, which is the one that came in the red packaging. So today we're going to be talking about the one that comes in the blue packaging, and I'll be showing you some swatches. We'll be doing a demo on this eye look, which was really, really easy. I feel like it looks a little bit more complicated than it was. So you guys will see that in the demo. And I didn't like prep any comparison swatches, but as I'm kind of going through them or whatever, I'll try and think if there's any. But anyway, I'll take a look at some of the other mothership palettes and we'll do some comparison swatches on the fly if I find any. So I purchased this on the Pat McGrath site. Each quad is $65 and they're available on the Pat McGrath site, Sephora.com, and I believe also in Sephora stores. I'm not sure, but I do know it's definitely available online. And this is part of her holiday collection, and she came out with 3 of these quads. This is the second one I'm going to be talking about. We'll be doing the Ritualistic Rose, I think is the third one. We'll be doing that one next. And then the day before yesterday, I did the Iconic Illumination. So her holiday collection also was comprised of 2 cream highlighters, which will appear in a fails video that is coming up. So spoiler alert, that did not work out for me. Those did not work out for me. I tried both of them. And she also came out with a bunch of her lipsticks, basically repackaged. And I did not purchase any of the lipsticks because none of the colors were new. But she basically kind of changed the colors up to like light blue. I think there's a light pink, also red, and she has a lot of bundles on her site. So anyway, check out her site, but I wanted to get these videos up especially because the Sephora VIB sale is coming up November 1st. So I wanted to get these up. I know a lot of people will be contemplating these quads for the sale. Rouge members get 20% off, VIB members get 15% off. So that's not bad. That's definitely not bad, especially for Pat McGrath. So let's go ahead and get into the packaging. So it came in this light blue colored cardboard box, very, very similar to her mothership packaging, basically the exact same aside from the color from the Iconic Illumination. Here is the back with some of the ingredients. And then on the inside is a card with the shade names. Now, the shade names, I don't know if you guys notice, this is the card that I got in this box, but these are the shade names for the Iconic Illumination quad. So I actually had to go onto her website to get the proper names of these shades because I was like, Blitz Brown, that doesn't seem right. So let me pull up her site so I can read off these shade names while I show you the swatches properly. Okay, so here are the swatches, and I did them from left to right, top to bottom. So on the left, we have Incandescent Gold in 003. Then we have Blitz Marine. Then we have Blitz Purple. And then we have VR Emerald. So the 4 shadows in this quad are of that very special and unique kind of baked formula that Pat McGrath does. These are very, very similar in formula to the last 4 shades in her mothership palettes. And I just have one right here just to show you. This is the Bronze Seduction one. So these 4 shades in all of her mothership palettes are always of this kind of different texture than the 6 that we have here. The 6 that we have here, while they're Pat McGrath quality and very beautiful, they are a little bit more typical or traditional, you know, pressed powders. Like these are pressed powders. This is kind of like a very creamy shimmer. We kind of have like a pressed glitter here. It's these 4 shades that are always very, very unique. They even look a little bit different in here. You can kind of tell that they are of a different formula and quality of the others. And so what she's done is she's taken the quality of those shadows and put them into these quads. So even though these 4 shades are different from these 6, there are still some variety within these 4 shades. Like in this Bronze Seduction, you can probably see like this red color is very kind of smooth. And then we have ones that are a little bit chunkier, they're a little bit more glittery. There's more risk of fallout with these kind of more glittery shades. They kind of act more as toppers, if you will. And then there are the smoother ones, which are, I think, a little bit easier to work with. So what I wanted to mention in this particular quad is that all 4 of these are a little bit closer to that kind of smooth baked formula versus the really kind of like chunky, glitter topper kind of shades. And that's not to say that these aren't glittery. There's definitely micro glitters in these two shades. I think there's micro glitters in all of them, but these two are the most glittery out of the four. And then this green one, I don't even know if you can see it in the camera, but this one is like a duochrome kind of shade. So I wanted to mention that in regards to this quad, because in the Iconic Illumination quad, the top gold shade here was one that was a little bit chunkier, a little bit more glittery, piecey kind of a shadow. So this one has like all the smoother special shadows. Again, I'll be doing a demo of this eye look, but I just kind of wanted to refer to it as I kind of talked about the shadows. I think all of these shadows are gorgeous. They're incredibly, incredibly beautiful. I think they're very easy to work with. And I mentioned, you know, a lot of what I'm saying, I said in the Iconic Illumination quad. So I apologize if I'm being redundant, but if you didn't catch that one, I do want to kind of mention these things again. So I find these shadows incredibly, incredibly easy to work with. But one tip that I definitely wanted to share was I really, really encourage you to use natural haired brushes with these shadows because you really prevent any fallout. And you'll see it in the demo when I use my natural hair brushes, there's just no fallout at all. And I've heard a lot of people talk about the fallout that they experience with these shadows. And I think as long as you're careful with them, and what I do is I just load up my brush and then I'll kind of press the shadow onto my lid and I'll start with smaller strokes instead of going right in and trying to blend back and forth. I think that way you kind of create like a rainfall of shadow. So I think if you just kind of like press and pat and kind of keep the motions smaller, you really won't have any fallout issues. Like I still don't have any fallout even after the fact, and I've been wearing these shadows now for about an hour. They just stay on. They just adhere to the lid really well. I didn't use any primer. I just have a little bit of concealer and a little bit of powder down, and that's it. And I went straight in with the shadows, and they're wonderful. The only kind of minor strange thing I experienced is with this purple shade. And I don't know if you guys can see it, but when I first applied it, it was very, very purpley. You know, it was very, very bright. And then I went and I applied the green on top. And I feel like the green kind of blended the purple away a little bit. The purple's just not as vibrant as I feel like I first put it on. And I even went in with some more purple after the fact when I noticed that a little bit of it seemed to have worn away. And it seems to be a little bit more subtle again. So, and I don't have any fallout, so I don't feel like it's just kind of falling off my lid. I don't know if it's one of those shadows that like my skin is eating up. Sometimes that happens, but that's basically what you're gonna get. Now, I did use all of these shadows dry. You can use them wet. And if you use any of these wet, they're gonna be amped up like 1000%. And I think if you use the purple wet, you'll probably get a lot more intensity. And I think if you are someone like me where you're much more comfortable with neutral shades, you're a little bit intimidated maybe by this unique formula, maybe by this color story. Now, I don't want to say it's mistake proof, but I feel like it's a lot less intimidating than it looks. I'll say that. I just feel like they're a lot easier to use than they look. I think it's just a really fun palette. I think all the colors in here work well together. You can mix and match, just use one, just use two. They all just really pair really, really well together. And I love this palette. I really didn't think I was going to love this quad quite as much as I love the other two. But because this is so unique, this one could be my favorite just because it surprised me so much. All right, I've got the Midnight Sun Mothership palette. This is her newest 10-pan palette. And I'm looking at this gold shade over here, and it's not quite as yellow as the one that's in this Nocturnal Nirvana. Can you guys see? It's a little bit more of like a wheat color, so that one is not too close. And then there's this purple in here, and this is like a duochrome to blue, but let me swatch the purple actually. I'll swatch the purple in the Midnight Sun next to the purple in this Nocturnal Nirvana. Let's do that. So here's the Midnight Sun one. You'll see it's much more of like a periwinkle. And then this one is from the quad, and it has like that black sooty base. So there's the difference there. So again, Midnight Sun, Nocturnal Nirvana. I'm looking at the Mothership 1, the Subliminal one. Nothing similar there. Here is Mothership 2, the Sublime, and there's this green duochrome in here. Let me swatch that next to the green duochrome in here. This is the Mothership Sublime one. It's darker. It's a little bit darker and deeper. So this is in Nocturnal Nirvana, the quad. And then this is from Mothership 2, Sublime. And here's Mothership 3, Subversive. There's really nothing similar in there. There's this like kind of bluish duochrome. It kind of shifts to purple, but it's even more of a periwinkle than the other ones, so that's not close at all. This one is like more of a chartreuse than a gold. Yeah, so nothing similar in Mothership 3. And then we have Mothership 4, the Decadence palette, which the formula in this one, all 10 of them are like kind of like the pressed cream to powder kind of formula. So nothing similar in here either. All right, so those are all the swatches and thoughts that I had on this quad. Let's go ahead and jump into the demo. All right, guys, so we're gonna do a smoky look today. I'm gonna start with the purpley shade. I wanna get that right onto my lash line on my upper lid, and I'm gonna use my Sonia G Worker 1 brush. Make sure I have it like on the tips of the bristles here, because again, I really wanna like work it into that lash line. And I'm gonna press the pigment in first. And then I'm gonna start to wiggle my brush back and forth a little bit. And then kind of go back and forth and just kind of grow the shadow up onto my lid. I'm going to take my Esom S31 brush. I'm going to go back into the purple shade, and I'm going to run this on my lower lash line. And I pointed this out when I talked about the Iconic Illumination quad and using natural haired brushes, because I don't have any fallout whatsoever. And I think it's a mixture of these brushes and kind of like making sure the pigment is pressed onto the lid first before really just kind of going in and going back and forth. Okay, now I'm going to go into this green shade. I'm going to take like a fluffier blending brush. I'm going to take my Blender Pro from Sonia G, and I'm just going to make sure I'm just putting it like on the tips of the bristles. I'm not kind of getting it all over, because I just want to use the tip of it to brush along like the upper edge of this purple shadow. And again, I'm going to grab that pencil brush, the S31 brush from Esom, and go into the green shade and add this to the lower lash line, just beneath the purple. Then I'm going to grab my Sonia G Builder 1 brush, and I'm going to go into the blue shade, and I'm just going to pop this in the inner portion of my lid here. And I'm pressing down. And then I'm going to take my Pencil 1 brush from Sonia G and go into the gold shade. I'm going to add this to the inner corner of my eyes and then the inner portion of my lower lash line. I'm going to add a bit more of this purple. I feel like, I don't know if you can see that, I feel like maybe it got blended away. Let me just add a little bit more. I don't feel like I went over that part of my lid with any other color, but maybe I did when I applied the green. I think that looks a little bit better. Okay, so that is it for the eyeshadow quad. I'm gonna go off camera and kind of finish up my eye look, figure out what kind of lipstick goes with this eye look, and I'll be right back. All right, guys, this is my final look. I took the opportunity to use some gold lip products on my lips. So I used the Pat McGrath, oh my gosh, I forget what these are called, the Blitz Trance lipsticks, and I used Blitz Gold. I applied that and I had to blot a little bit of that away because it's very opaque. It's a very, very opaque gold lip color. And then I put some of the Blitz Gold Lust Gloss lip gloss over it. So it's a combination of these two. Anyway, it'll all be down below in the description box. And that is it for this video. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the demo for this look. Again, another like fun, kind of crazy, out of my comfort zone kind of like look, but she just makes it so easy. These shadows are just so easy to use. I think I said this in the Iconic Illumination video, but it's like as soon as you start putting the shadows on, it's like you just have like an instant look. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.